Hello, everybody. My name is Connor Crasha, and welcome to my plan change process case study and presentation. For my example, I'm using a 5-year-old kiddo that was diagnosed with autism back in 2014. He's a client we serve on the developmental disability side of things at Full Circle. Throughout this case study example, I will refer to him as Barry Allen. But like I said, he was diagnosed with autism in 2014. Most of his issues involve not being able to regulate his emotions or communicate effectively. Um, he also has pretty severe escalations, whenever he runs into barriers or tasks that he has to do that he doesn't want to do, such as like getting dressed or just like eating breakfast, even just simple stuff like that will really escalate him. These escalations tend to look like him hitting himself a lot in the face or others, slapping and hitting others. He will also attempt to gag himself or throw things around, run away, just kind of self harm and harming to others. Additionally, these escalations can last up to about 2 hours. So he can be kicking and yelling and screaming the whole time. He also will try and like take off his clothes and throw them around and then run around. Um, so Barry Allen also has a significant cognitive delay, about 50%. Um, so that is also a big issue for him and being able to live his life independently um, once he is an appropriate age. Um, he also suffers from echolalia, a common symptom of autism or side effect of autism, if you will, which just involves him um, repeating phrases and words, and actually in some cases entire conversations. He doesn't use much spontaneous words of his own, and he has a very limited vocabulary of his own, and does not use multiple word phrases. Furthermore, he does find comfort in material things such as clothes he has had for a long time, or a blanket or his hat. Um, this does present some problems just because he does require help dressing, or getting dressed and undressed. So when we have to help him get dressed and we try and pick out clothes for him, he will usually refuse to wear things that are new. He'll only wear his older stuff, which can be so his older stuff because he's comfortable with, which is a problem, just because he's getting bigger, and so his clothes are getting a lot tighter and they're harder to get off, and it's just probably uncomfortable for him, which also can lead to escalation. Um, and also he's not yet potty trained, so when needs assistance in the bathroom with like changing his pull up, uh, getting those clothes like off and on are very hard if they're too tight, and they're too tight because they're too small, and they're too small because they're old, and he feels comfortable with the old stuff. Um, in light of all these challenges, Barry also is a very determined kid, and um, does understand how to get what he wants, and sometimes seems to escalate just because he's been reinforced to escalate whenever he wants to get his own way. And so there's that. And then also, due to his autism spectrum diagnosis, he doesn't sleep as much as he should for a child of his age to enable to develop appropriately. He'll lay awake until like 11 p.m. and then wake up at like 5 a.m., which does not help him at all with the regulation of his emotions. Uh, as at home life, as far as that goes, he lives with his parents. He doesn't have any siblings. His parents both work full time though. I believe at the hospital. I'm pretty sure it's at the hospital. Um, so when his parents work full time and he has to go somewhere, he will stay at his grandmother's house. So that's pretty much, yeah, everything about Barry. Um, Starting with the engagement phase of the plan change process, we'd like to focus on his strengths and how he is capable. And we also will look at his ecosystems, or use the ecosystems perspective to understand the environment in which he has mutual interactions with. Then there's the diversity perspective, and we look at the influence that diversity in his diagnosis plays in his life, and diversity due to many things. One being his disability or cognitive delay, developmental disability. Then another perspective that is good for this scenario would be the person in environment, and with that one, we're just kind of seeking to understand the unique way in which Barry experiences and sees everything, because it's a lot different than most people see it due to his autism spectrum disorder and diagnosis. For the assessment, I looked at behavioral theory and just how he's been slightly reinforced at home to escalate in order to get what he wants. There's the biopsychosocial theory, of course, which was his diagnosis with the autism spectrum disorder when he was 3 years old, and so he has a hard time communicating his needs and feelings. There's the cycle of change theory, which is Barry is making significant strides towards positive change in communicating his needs and feelings, but will still escalate sometimes, although they are becoming fewer and far between. I looked at that disease theory, which is again autism spectrum disorder, and Barry's 50% cognitive delay, which affects his communication and emotional development. Then there's the humanistic theory of human functioning, which I looked at, and I wrote here that in order to get the services he needed, Barry's mother had to quit her job to sign him up for Medicaid and then apply for the SSI stuff in order to meet Barry's needs. And then as far as the data collection, they were collected by certified autism trainers, or CATs, in several intake meetings and assessments with the family and Barry in both a clinical and home setting. Data was then organized by presenting problem, and then like a case formulation and intervention strategies. And then the data was also entered in chronological order, interpreted by applied behavioral analysis, or ABA. So to sum up that Barry's strengths would be, he definitely has a very dedicated, loving family. His mom was willing to quit her job just to enroll him on Medicaid, get him the services he needed. He is very determined and has an interesting regard for the people around him, and it's in this way that it seems like people want to help him more just because he is unique and just is different. Limitations, however, his cognitive delay is definitely the biggest one, and of course lack of communication skills. Moving on to the intervention processes in the third phase of the plan change. So we used a client-centered model where Barry and his family agrees to change and improve select services and have a say in how interventions are designed. Cognitive behavioral model, which is Barry's given tasks that he can accomplish, paired with praise in order to show he has the capacity to learn and grow. Task-centered model, where we help Barry set reasonable goals and help him reach those goals. A lot of praise the whole time. So his first goal was to improve his ability to communicate needs appropriately, which involved setting up scenarios in which Barry has to use word requests, labeling everything. Again, lots of praise and exaggerated praise when he communicates what he wants. Second one was to teach Barry how to self-soothe in times of escalation. And for that, we look at objectives like we find things that help soothe Barry, discover his preferred sensory needs, and experiment with different coping skills such as music or dance, which I've found can be effective. And lastly, our third goal was to increase Barry's ability to hear no from caregivers without escalation. And for this one, we set objectives such as have clear expectations and follow through, prompt the use of a calm space, and then systematic rewards and consequences, and then look for an underlying need. And so that sums it up. Part 4, the evaluation. The termination process. He is with us. He has services through Full Circle for 3 years under the autism waiver, and then after that, he's out. Our evaluation tools were client self-report, achievement of goals, and pre and post tests. And that is everything. Thanks for watching. See you, class.